Hello, and welcome to this webinar to support the Connecticut school community. My name is Scott Newgass, and I'm a social worker with the Connecticut State Department of Education. Today, this message is intended for school personnel, administrators, teachers, and student support staff, but it also has links that parents may find useful. The resources provided in this video should assist schools and communities think through how best to guide healthy community response to and recovery from loss despite the barriers in place due to COVID-19. Many schools and districts across our state, as well as across the nation and the world, are confronting the very real and substantial need to support students, families, and communities facing personal tragedies. So what can schools do to support students affected by death and other tragedies when restrictions prevent us from providing the more typical and familiar types of comfort? Social distancing and seclusion within our homes present genuine barriers to social familiarity and intimacy that have always been essential to supporting those we care for. These restrictions do not relieve us of the need for the physical comfort that comes from hugs, holding hands, or just sitting with someone. Yet, those barriers are present. While physical face-to-face communication is currently seen as a risk to health, we can and should still work to have FaceTime outside of class assignments. Web-based video support is only a beginning, but it does provide opportunity for meaningful contact. This contact makes it easier for individuals to feel comfortable expressing their feelings and thoughts. In some ways, while grief is often a part of crisis, they require different approaches. Essentially, crisis response efforts help restore a community and its shared identity, reinforcing that sense of stability necessary for the healthy recovery. Grief support, on the other hand, instead requires the community to come together for mutual and targeted support. The sense of community and the capacity to respond are presumed to be in place. The task during grief support is to enable the community to develop long-held and commonly accepted ceremonies, memorials, and outreach to recognize the loss and provide overt outreach to the family. The restrictions in place due to COVID-19 have complicated this, but there are still very meaningful ways that we can convey compassion and support. As stated previously, face-to-face time through any web-based application that allows us to see the other person's face and see their reactions and overall well-being is beneficial to us all. While these contacts don't have to be exclusively focused on support, they should be intended to strengthen the interpersonal relationship. Meal preparation. It has long been a tradition to prepare meals for families grieving a death, and there's no need to change that practice. It does take a little bit more forethought to ensure that they know when you will arrive, and for true social distancing, you will have to leave the meal and step away. But this just illustrates your willingness to care and to go the extra mile for them. Running errands. As with all of us, the restrictions on travel, the anxiety associated with masking in public, and the pressure to maintain distance in stores makes the simple act of shopping that much more of a hurdle for those that are already grieving. If you are going out, call the family and ask if there's anything you can pick up for them. Play dates. If you have property with a yard and you know the grieving family doesn't, you might invite the children to come over to run around the yard if they don't have the opportunity in their own apartment or their own home. Social distancing will still need to be observed, but an invitation can be very comforting when one is isolated. Motorcade memorials. Many communities have begun to have long lines of cars, visit a neighbor or community member for celebration or for commiseration. Do you have families willing to organize such an event? Person-to-person contact. Remember, many of the things that we do to support grieving families during typical times are about our humanity. What can we do to relieve some burden upon the family? How can we reach out to them and advocate for their needs? Now I'd like to introduce some of the resources mentioned in the beginning of this video. As you may have already discovered, many individuals and agencies are working to provide resources that make sense in these restricted times. However, much of the guidance developed during more open times can still provide important contributions. First, I am providing 2 articles prepared specifically to address grieving under the restrictions we face through the coronavirus. Grieving during the COVID-19 pandemic by the Family Means Center for Grief and Loss is a brief article discussing the current restrictions and some considerations for providing support. Likewise, Supporting Teenagers to Grieve Under COVID-19 Restrictions by the Irish Childhood Grieving Network addresses supports during COVID, but specifically targeting the developmental needs of teens. Next, there are links to 3 videos produced by the National Center for School Crisis and Bereavement. The first video provides general considerations for schools and districts when responding to a school community death and the crisis that may unfold among the student body as a result of the death. The second video addresses some of the concerns that may emerge as schools and communities look to memorialize someone who has died. And the third video addresses the need for and strategies to continue providing support past the acute period of grief and efforts contributing to a healthy recovery. Finally, this slide has the homepage web addresses for each of the reference resources. Thank you for your time and your continuing efforts to support your communities. If you have any questions or recommendations, you can contact me at scott.newgass@ct.gov.